Hi, I'm Rob Curver, CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. Welcome to another episode of the CPaaSAA Talks. And I'm here back with Neelam Sandhu from Vonage. And Neelam and I spoke about half a year ago after she really just started the job. And then we had her at Casa 25 with a great talk. And 1 or 2 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being at the Vonage Global Leadership Summit in Dallas in the storm of the century, I think they had there in the US at that time. So that was great. So Needham, it's great that to have you back here. We talked a little bit in Dallas, and basically I was just curious if you look back at the last 6 months and if you look back at your GLS, how are things going for you so far?
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me back here, Rob. I can't believe when you said it's been half a year. It's gone very fast. It's gone very, very fast. And it's been a busy half a year. And we just saw each other at the Vonage Global Leadership Summit. You mentioned the Texas storm. That certainly threw us off a little bit, but we powered through and had a great event. And thank you for joining us there as well. The last 6 months has been a whirlwind, but a good one. And we talked when we last met about the opportunity around network APIs and mobile networks and the vision for turning mobile networks into a platform similar to the cloud platform and a marketplace with a thriving ecosystem. And I'm really encouraged by the last 6 months, the movement that we've seen in the ecosystem and how we're seeing the ecosystem, big players and large players really align behind this vision. So now I describe it as a shared vision across the ecosystem. So we're seeing from hyperscalers to CSPs to SaaS enterprise technology companies, large and small, really getting behind the capabilities and the potential of mobile networks and coming into the ecosystem to develop our mobile networks and having really interesting dialogues around the technology as well. And we've even seen some of that conversation come through at the more macro level with governments talking about how 5G and 6G, so mobile networks, are now considered critical infrastructure and a strategic asset. So very, very encouraging to see that progress over the last 6 or so months.
Well, that's great to hear. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that the summit in Dallas was a success for you guys as well. I remember one of the things that we talked about there, and it's sort of becoming a recurrent thing now, is this, and I like the way how you talk about mobile networks as the platform to work on and to build on, instead of that network API word that everybody's been talking about for years. Because what's a network API really? It's so much more. It's more about the outcomes and the bigger system that an API happens to be a part of, an essential part of, but not necessarily the solution that you're looking for. So, how do you find when you try to change that conversation, also within Vonage, but also with your business partners and enterprise customers, etc.? Does that resonate?
Yeah. So you talked a little bit, or you touched on the Vonage Global Leadership Summit, and this year we had it's an event for employees, Vonage employees, the most senior leaders across the company, to come together and align for the year ahead. This year we had a number of external thought leaders speak, one being yourself, and speakers from tech companies, big global tech companies. And so in those conversations, as well as conversations I'm having on a day-to-day basis with our partners and customers, I think I see a real shift in the conversation, and it's a very strategic conversation as well. You and I talked last time we spoke about the need to not get lost in the speeds and feeds of the conversation and the dialogue and the potential, because people don't get as excited behind it because the value is not as obvious that way. So the conversations that I'm seeing are, I mentioned just a moment ago about mobile networks now being seen as a critical asset, and also being really seen now as core to the tech stack for companies as well. And so there's still a lot to figure out around what that means and the potential of it. So we're in the early days, I would say, similar to where the cloud would have been maybe 15 or 20 years ago. People see that there's potential. They see that it's something to get behind. Can everybody quite describe what it will look like in 10 years? I don't think so. Not even us. But we know there's a big opportunity there. And it's big enough that, as I said, the kind of the full ecosystem, the value chain, across the value chain and across large and small companies are getting excited behind it and beginning to co-build with us on it as well. So certainly seeing the movement, and still somewhat undefined in terms of the full scope of the opportunity, but we know it's a big opportunity, and it's really becoming core to companies' tech stacks now. So yeah.
It's interesting listening to you this part. I mean, you talk about let's say, how critical the mobile network is and how important it is for innovation and for just, well, basically keeping everything that we do working, right? It's very critical. And then you make the comparison with cloud. Now, I think there's one big difference between 50 years ago and today, especially also when you think of cloud, and that's that idea that one big hyperscaler cloud somewhere on the globe would be enough for everybody, or maybe two or three versions. That idea is sort of gone these days, right? We hear a lot of talk about sovereignty and different countries finding this critical infrastructure so important that they want to have control over it, and that puts telcos in a very, very distinct space because they actually have a lot of that control. How do you see that play out?
It's a great question. The CSPs, the telcos, certainly critical to bringing this vision to life. We need them to get behind the vision in order to expose the capabilities of the networks and do so in a standardized way. I would say, however, that they aren't the only key player in this, because telcos, as we know, they're not global players. They have a regional or even more of a local play, and so this is where partnering with other players in the value chain, like the big hyperscalers and other tech companies who do have that global reach, is important as a catalyst, I think, to move this forward. And the more that we work with the broader ecosystem, the more we prove out the value of this, so that telcos can see then the value as well, the telco companies, as opposed to us just talking about the value. I think we need to prove it out for them to really galvanize behind this vision. We've seen them come together with Aduna, for example, so an aggregator of CSP capabilities, and that's been a really giant step forward. But I think the next step now is for the rest of the ecosystem to sort of prove the value out, at least some early stages of it, and then we can see the next stage of forward movement from the telcos. And that's my opinion.
Okay, sounds good. It feels like a very interesting time to be alive in. I mean, we're not even going to talk about AI right now because we don't have the time. We'll do that another time. But I wanted to touch just before I let you go. In 3 weeks or so, we'll all be in Barcelona, or a large part of the industry will be in Barcelona, and it'll be crazy. And I'm just thinking, this will be your first time in Barcelona as Vonage, as the new CMO. So, what are you looking for MWC Barcelona to bring, and how is it going to define, let's say, your 2026?
Great question. So I have been at MWC a number of times in my career. In the early days, when MWC was really just about mobile devices and companies announcing the next big release from a mobile device perspective. And I mean, MWC has changed so dramatically in terms of the companies that show up and the announcements that are made, and what is showcased there. So I'm very excited that from a Vonage perspective, we plan to have our biggest showing at MWC in recent years. We'll have a number of announcements around that too, and we're going to be showcasing what the potential of network APIs is, as well as our contact center solution, and bringing the two together. And we'll be talking to CSPs, to enterprises as well, and you'll hear a number of things from us in terms of new news, as well as more clarity around the vision that we have, and some of our partners who are behind us with that as well.
Cool. Well, I look forward to it, and I look forward to talk to you again there. I know we have some things scheduled as well, which I'm excited about. Thanks for this quick update. I wish you best of luck in the preparations for Mobile World, and we'll talk later.
Thank you very much.